Alright guys, so here will be a review of the Potain MDT 178. It's in 1/50th scale, produced by TWH. Now I want to start off by saying is I did shorten the model in height for the review to make it easier to watch and easier for me to make. And one good thing about it is you can see the masked sections. So to start off, before I get into the review, a little terminology is the tower is called the mast, this part is called the counter jib, and that's called the jib. So as I go through the review, you'll know what I'm talking about. I think that would make it a little bit easier to watch. So, the base of the model right here is stone, and that adds really good weight to the model since it is a tower crane and it does have a hell of a radius. So being that it's stone and you can see it's nice and wide, that adds a lot to it. Now, these pads you see here are screw down, and since they're screw down, it allows you to adjust the levelness of the model, because it does tilt when you add counterweight to it and with the boom. So they tell you in the instructions to screw these down and to level the model, and if you don't have the model leveled, it's gonna lean, and they actually tell you that it will decrease its structural integrity. And the outriggers are made really nice. They're all metal, and you can see they're painted very nicely. These counterweights you see right here, you can see they're similar to Lincoln log toys, and they go in the same way, you can see, and they just go on top of each other. The bottom ones connect by going to a little hole, which underneath them there's a little hole, there's a hole on them, and over here there's like a piece that sticks up, and it makes them so they don't come off the base. You can see they do move though, but they do give you, or two of them actually say Potain on them, like you can see right there, which is really cool. It has the same texture as the base as well, which makes it very nice. Now the model itself can probably go, I want to say, around 4 to 4.5 feet in height, which is really decent. You can see this one has the climbing cage, and I lowered it down to maybe 2 feet, 2.5, well, maybe a little bit, 3 feet I'd say is a good estimation. The mast sections are very detailed. I'm actually gonna show you one that's hanging because it would be easier. So here's the mast section, and you could see they give you the bolt detail, well, or the pin detail, and that works good when you can see you don't have it connected, because those would be the pins that you use to connect each section in. And I think that is just so cool that they do give you that. It just really does add a lot of detail to the model. The whole section is metal, including ladders and railings, and it's so cool. I think it adds a lot to it. You can see the catwalk on the model to get up to the next mast is etched through, and that's metal as well. And there's also a climbing cage on here, and that's metal as well, along with the ladder, and that would be so the operator could go up to the next section. These pieces you see on the end, which are on no other ends, are the lugs for the climbing cage to grab onto, and I'll get to that in a second. The way that the sections attach to each other, like you could see right there, are with the little screw, as so. And you can see just the build quality of the sections are just really, really nice, and it just adds to the model. Now, going up to the top of the model to show you the jib and the counter jib. I'll have to raise up higher. And here's the top of the model, and my favorite part of the model. You can see you have your massive cab, and the cab is nice in the fact that it's huge and it's just so detailed, especially with all the glass. And another cool thing about the cab is you could see straight into it, so I think that makes it look really cool. There you could see it. It's pretty detailed inside. It doesn't have any monitors, but it has the 2 controls, and you can see the 2 windshield wipers on it as well. You can see the little Manitou decal on it. Now behind the cab, is the doors to open the cab. And I think that is really cool. I don't have the pick with me to open the other door, but both of them do open and they close, except this one doesn't close, it doesn't snap close, but it does open, and you could see the inside of the cab to open it. Now, I'm gonna have to raise up again. I didn't think I would have to do this, but I have to. So now, on top of the model, which has an awesome amount of detail, you can see to get into the cab it has more etched walkways, which is awesome. Metal handrails, every single handrail you see is metal. And on the inside of the slewing ring, I don't know if you could tell from right there, but you could see the light on the other end. You could go through it, so if you want to, I don't know if you could get someone in there, but a little scale figure in there, and you could kind of make out, it's hard to see, but you could see the ladder in there. And you could also see all the hoses running over there as well. Now the back has these two doors, and this one can open, but I can't get it to, and I don't want to break it, honestly, so I'm not going to open it for the review, but it can open, but honestly I can't get it to open. Up top, you could see you have this little crane that folds out, and this is the service crane for it. But the cool thing about it is that the service crane actually works, and it has a little hook on it, and it's a single part line, and you could actually work the service crane, which I think is just super cool. I really like that feature. You gotta put weight on it to bring it down, but you could bring it down. You could bring it down all the way to the ground, and I think that is just really cool. I keep mine up and raised all the way. So now on the counter jib, straight down the center of it, it has etched walkways like you can see, and it's got the metal pendant straps as well to hold the counter jib, and this sheave you see here is for the service crane. Now the back, which houses the counterweights, is what made me really scared about the model, but without these counterweights I wouldn't feel safe with the model. The bad thing about the counterweights is, and I don't know if this is a bad thing to some people, but when I first put them on it scared me, it's because they're so heavy. The crane is on uneven ground right now, so it's going to tip back a little, but it tilts the model back. But the cool thing about the counterweights is you can see it has lifting eyes for every single weight, and the way they attach is pretty much, you can see the two pins on it, and they just slide into the other hole. And the way that they don't come out is, when they slide in, these pins on both sides basically lock them in, and they only come out from the structure holding it. The bad thing about them is you can't put only like 3 weights in there, you have to put all of them in, but it really doesn't take away from it. And if I keep the model level here, you can see how much it's going to drop once I put the weights in it. You can see it bends it back quite a bit, which did scare me at first, but I feel pretty safe with it on it now. When I originally got the model and I had them like that, it scared me when I put them on because it tilted it back so much, and that's probably one of the reasons why I don't have it so tall, is because I'm scared of it falling. Obviously it won't, but I want to be safe, and it's in my mind that it won't fall like this. So now over here, the counter jib attaches to the jib from this screw right here. An assembly of the model, you actually have to attach that in. It's pretty simple, but I just figured I'd bring that out there. So you can see the boom itself is very long, and it's blue compared to the counter jib and mast that are orange. And I'll get to the colors later in the review. But over here you can see you have a catwalk, and it's got the etched walkways, as does half of the boom. And this goes to the winch for the hook block, and it is an awesome winch. The only complaint I have is that I don't use the key that they give you, because it doesn't go into the square piece of die cast that they have right there. So I use this NZG pin tool that I have from my LR1300, because it actually goes into it. And the drum does have enough line to bring it down all the way to the ground, and I'll show you the hook in a second. So you can see the boom has more etched walkways, and it has another drum right here, and this is to bring the trolley in and out. And you can see the trolley right here, and you can see it move in like so, and then you can see it move out, and it works perfectly. I like that feature on it a lot. When I get to the other side of the boom, I'll show you the rest. And here is the trolley, which looks awesome. I really like the look of it, and it's got the catwalks, and all sheaves on the model are metal as well. Now, the only bad thing about this model is you can't change the boom configuration. The booms can come apart, and you can see they're extremely nicely made, but you can't change the amount of, not boom, jib, you can't change the amount of jib that you have on it, because one, they're pinned in, and I don't think that you could just stop a whole section right here. I think you have to put the transitions on it. So that's one thing that I don't really like about it. This sheave you see coming towards the end of the boom is for the trolley. And at the tip of the jib, I keep calling it a boom, sorry. At the tip of the jib, you have a catwalk for someone to grease the sheaves out there as well. So now I'm going to turn the model. I'll show you the other side of it. So here's the other side of the model. You can see we got the huge Potain sign right there, and it's got a catwalk on it as well. I don't know why they don't have it on the other side, but it's on this side. And you also have the Counterweight decal on this side, and since you could actually see the slewing ring on this side, here's what the model slews on. It does turn pretty well. Mine was loose and I had to tighten it, but overall it's better now. This is also where the mast transitions into the slewing ring right here, and the assembly of the model requires you to put the 4 screws in right there. And the catwalk for the trolley drum. Now, the hook block that they give you, when they give it to you, they actually have it at least with 4 parts of line. And as you can see, I changed mine out to 2 parts of line, simply so I could lift something with it. Even though it does look very cool with 4 parts of line, I'm rather much like it with 2 parts of line, since the model, the crane itself can't really lift too much, and I don't think I would see one with 4 parts of line. Now, the bad thing is when you go to release it like this, it's really hard to get the string through the top of the sheave, because when you push it under there, it gets stuck on the cast in there from the die cast, and it kind of it's pretty difficult and frustrating when you go to do it. So the last thing that I want to get to in the review is I actually have an accessory on mine. I have the climbing cage on mine right here, and what the climbing cage enables the real machine to do is actually it'll jack the whole upper works of the machine up, and then you could either take a mast section out to shorten the height or put one in to give it height. And I think the mast section definitely adds a lot of detail to it. Although it can't function on the model, it definitely adds a lot of detail, and I figured I'd make the review of the climbing cage as well. And we'll start out at the top of the climbing cage. So, the top of the climbing cage, as you can see, is very detailed. This piece actually comes off, and you can see it's all etched out. It's all completely metal. There is no plastic on this. And I'm actually going to take that off to show you the rest. So, other parts of the climbing cage include the ladder, which is all metal. And what I'm not going to take off the last catwalk, but the one down here is exactly the same as the bottom, as the other one that I showed you. But on this end, I'll take that off. Over here, you can see there's another catwalk. But this one includes the hydraulic motor for the cylinder that will actually jack the machine up. And this is going to be pretty difficult to put back on, but I'll manage. Alright, so that one's back on. Now you can see the climbing cage gives the mast a lot more thickness, and I like that because it beefs the model up more. And it's pretty much the same thing as the section. It screws in up top over here. The only thing that's different on it is that on the other side of it, like you can see right here, it leaves the actual mast of the tower crane is open, so there's no cage on this end, and this is where you can put your section in, and that just hangs as I glued it. But you can see right here, the door opens, and this is where that you would slot your other mast section in. And the cool thing about it is it clips in, which I like a lot. And these just go on simply by pushing them into the little holes. So, and it's a pretty straightforward assembly of each part. And if you're wondering what the catwalks are for, they're just so the iron workers could assemble the mast or disassemble the rest of the model. So overall, as a model, I think it is a completely awesome model. It goes for $450. The climbing cage goes for around $75. I think it's completely worth it because, for one, the review really doesn't show the size of the model, and for two, it's just extremely detailed. So I hope you like the review of it, guys. I have mine in Achromet, as you can see, which is orange and blue. They also make it in red, yellow, and red and white. I thought this was the coolest looking livery. I don't think I'll ever get bored of this livery. The only thing I might do to it is take the decaling off the cab of the model, because I think it looks pretty plain. But besides that, an awesome model, definitely a must-have for any crane collector, and it's a great first tower crane model. The only thing that I don't like for it really is it doesn't seem like it could hold up a very large load. And actually, in the instructions of the model, they also give you a tower crane, not a tower crane, a concrete bucket, and they tell you not to display the model with anything other than the concrete bucket at a focal radius, because it's going to affect the structural integrity of the model. So it really isn't a model that you could put heavy loads on, because for one, it could easily collapse, and for two, like they said, it'll affect the structural integrity. But besides that, definitely a great model, a must-have for anyone. I hope you like the review.